Do you feel like vomiting while playing video games? Or are you afraid of certain types of item, object, scenarios, or situation in video games? Or do you try to avoid pixelated or older graphic games? If so, then you might be having some type of phobia that is obstructing you from playing certain types of games or certain parts in the video games. Hey guys, welcome to the Video Game Genie, and today I am going to talk about phobias in video games. Before we start, do subscribe to my channel if you have not, and also press the bell icon for upcoming video notifications. Let's get started. Scoptophobia, also known as scopophobia, is a fear of eyes or fear of being stared at. It is one of the most common phobias which can be found in number of people. Individuals with the phobia usually face problems like social anxiety or unable to speak when they are at public gatherings or answering calls in public, and that happens because they are afraid of people around them or their attention or the way they are going to react to them. And when people start staring at them, the fear starts increasing exponentially. The same concepts are used in video games for creating a feeling of being stared by somebody or for making our player more curious about surrounding. Designer designs space and camera angle in such a way that a player starts feeling like somebody is staring or keeping an eye on them or listening to them, and the player becomes more cautious and starts interpreting their own stories out of the situation. Different games create such feeling through different methods. For example, Resident Evil Classics had fixed camera angles, and they used to set the angles in such a way that it gives you a feeling of being stared at. And as you move, suddenly a zombie appears, which freaks you out. Even from time to time, you will find some dead zombies lying here and there, and suddenly the game camera switches to that zombie's perspective, which again gives you a feeling that the zombie is not dead and is looking at you. Similar feeling in the Silent Hill was created by fog around the player, which actually was used for defining the draw distance in the game, but same time it creates a notion that somebody would be staring at you from the fog. Megalophobia is the fear of large or gigantic objects or giant creatures. Individuals suffering from this phobia cannot withstand giant objects or animals or creatures that are large in size or scale, or larger than the usual size. Most of the time in the games, most of the things are exaggerated, like in Shadow of Colossus, you will find massively big mountains, giant bosses, and your character looks so tiny in front of them. And this relative difference between player and other objects triggers the megalophobia in few of the players. The main reason for making them gigantic was that when a player beats the boss or reaches at the top of that mountain peak, it feels very gratifying for achieving something very special. But most of the players who suffer from megalophobia in such condition, they stop playing the game or they try to avoid such objects in the game. Acrophobia is an extreme or irrational fear of heights, especially when one is not particularly high up. People with acrophobia can experience a panic attack in higher places and become too agitated to get themselves down safely. As we all know, there are many things that we can do in video games but not in the real life. Like you can be Spiderman and can swing building to building, or can stand at the top of the tallest building of the city, or you can be assassin and can stand on the high spots for performing a leap of faith, and can go to Mount Chiliad and can look at the beautiful city from there. But sadly, there is a category of people who cannot do such things as they have acrophobia. When they are exposed to games like Mirror's Edge, they cannot withstand such experience. They play for some time and after some time they leave the game as they are afraid of height and looking down from any tall building. If they play it for a longer time, they start feeling nausea or dizziness. Claustrophobia is a situational phobia that is triggered by an irrational and intense fear of tight or crowded spaces. It can be triggered by things like being locked in a closed room, or stuck in a crowded elevator, or stuck in a car on a crowded road. This phobia can easily be translated into video games. Game spaces are designed in such a way that they contain wide empty areas, tight areas, wide but crowded areas, or wide areas which contains number of tight areas. In games, when you get detected by an enemy, they start chasing you, because of which players tries to get into or hide into small spaces, and this whole situation triggers claustrophobia. Even for most individuals, having claustrophobia, being in a tight space in the games is really hard. Being in a crowded place where you have a number of neutral NPCs along with a number of enemies puts the player into panic, due to which they start sweating or get a rapid heartbeat or nausea or fainting. Emetophobia, fear of vomiting, is one of the most common phobias which can be found in a number of gamers. Most of the individuals having this phobia cannot withstand first-person camera games, VR games, or even pixelated or older graphic games for a longer time. They can hardly play up to 15 minutes, and after that they start getting a mild headache, stomachache, nausea, and ultimately vomiting. Thalassophobia is an intense and persistent fear of sea, which includes deep water bodies, the emptiness of the sea waves, sea creatures, distance from the land, or feeling of not being able to see through the water. As I mentioned earlier, there are certain things which games try to exaggerate to make overall experience more fun, but sometimes that experience becomes creepy and horrific for players having such phobias. Deep water bodies in the games can end up giving you a very horrifying experience, as you don't know which creature is going to appear inside the sea, or how deep you are going into the sea, or will you be able to get out of the sea or not. And guess what? Designers always try to put the player in such conditions as it generates a feeling of excitement or being challenged in most of the player. In most of the open world or semi-open world games, deep water bodies are just a part of area in the game, but consider games like Subnautica, which sets inside the deep sea, contains a number of giant creatures and challenges. Individuals having thalassophobia cannot withstand such experiences. For them, it is equivalent to playing a horror game. So yeah guys, with that we have completed our list. Do hit the like button and let me know what are your thoughts on the video in the comment section. And please share my content with others. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for the video notification. That's it from my side. See you soon in my next video.